Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I am super excited because we have an incredible guest on here today, Amy Marie. She is a good friend of mine. We actually met 3 years ago at a women's networking event right before COVID hit, and we stayed connected ever since. And just being able to watch Amy's journey has been absolutely incredible. She is so multi-passionate, has so many different businesses, is now, a breathwork coach. She loves her cold plunges, 4 a.m. mornings. Honestly, Amy is just a Wonder Woman. So welcome, Amy, to the podcast. It is so amazing to have you on here.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
Yes, awesome. So, for anyone who hasn't met you yet, Amy, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit more about you and what you do.
Okay, amazing. My name is obviously Amy, and I right now I am focusing a lot on breathwork. So that's my main thing right now. So within that space, I do a lot of breathwork facilitation and coaching, and that also leads into like sound healing and cold water therapy, Reiki, and all sorts of different things, coaching. I do a lot of holistic lifestyle coaching as well, which I just love. I've always had multiple things happening, like multiple businesses running, and just so much. But right now, basically, breathwork is consuming my entire world, and that's where I'm at. That's what I'm running with, and I just love it so much. I've been doing it for about 3 years now, and I've been teaching and facilitating and coaching for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe closer to 2 years at this point.
Yeah, amazing. I can attest to the fact that Amy's breathwork sessions are incredible. You hosting it as well with your partner Ricky is just like so incredible. The space you hold, you do the sound healing with the sound bowls and such a transformative experience. I've got my ticket for your next one, which is in 2 days. I'm excited for that. All the releases, all the crying, everything. But your life didn't look like this even just a few years ago. You've had such a drastic transition into, spirituality, into, holistic way of living and the way you travel and, live your life. It's so inspiring. I also must say, I love the controversial conversations that you have on your Instagram. It's just amazing how you can show up in your authenticity and you're so rooted in your truth and you're continuing to learn and inspire others along the way. But I'd love to hear more about your story around, how did you actually get into this world and what did that look like changing your life?
Yeah, amazing. So I dived into personal development work about 7 or 8 years ago now. And that was very surface level kind of stuff, like, just reading personal development books and attending seminars and just trying to, find a better version of me and being able to show up in a different way. And that more so started with a particular business that I was running at the time. Um, there was a lot of personal development work involved in that. So dived deep into that, and just loved it. And to be honest, I got a little bit obsessed with that. So over a couple of years, that personal development journey kind of naturally transformed into like a spirituality deep dive, because it was almost like, I ticked all the boxes for the personal development side of things in terms of up leveling, skills for business and mindset and all of that kind of stuff. And then it became more of a spiritual journey, um, which was amazing. Like, really, it was really difficult, to be honest. I feel like as I kind of tapped into more of the spirituality side of things, I really started to change. And then my opinion started to shift. And that kind of caused a lot of, um, what's the right word, I guess? Like, just friends would be like, like who are you? What are you saying? Like, what do you mean? Like, these are not conversations that we would have. So in the transition, I lost a lot of friendships, because obviously as you grow and you develop, you're on a different level. And if people aren't growing at the same time as you, they can't meet you on that level. And so I lost a lot of friendships along the way, um, which was difficult at the time because I didn't understand why. But now, like, it continues to happen and it makes sense. And if somebody kind of, gradually fades away, I'm like, okay, well, you served your purpose and I'm grateful for the time that we had together, but I'm not trying to hold on to attachments anymore. And then people were trying to get me to do meditation and all this kind of stuff. And I just couldn't stop my mind. I couldn't slow down my mind until I found breath work. Started doing breath work and cold water therapy. So the first time I ever did breath work was at 4 a.m. In Middle Park Beach. Did a little bit of sound healing, did some breath work in the dark in the middle of winter, and then jumped into the ocean at like 5:30 in the morning. It was freezing. And I was like, I'm not doing the water stuff. I'll just come and do the breath stuff. And then they kind of dragged me into the water, like, you're here, just let's do it. So I did. And it was that morning that completely changed my life. So I actually found a diary entry a couple of weeks ago when I was cleaning out my office, dated like that first morning. And there was one line in there that said, like, I feel like something shifted today. And I can honestly believe and like tell you that that was such a pivotal time for me, because that's when I just really dived into then the breathwork world, the cold water
Wow.
therapy. I started diving deeper into all of this personal development, spiritual development, and I was like, how much deeper can I go? um, and then yeah, just one thing led to another, and since that morning, I had never stopped doing breath work. I've never stopped doing cold water therapy. It completely changed everything for me, so much so that I've made it my entire world now to share this and try to help as many people who honestly like will just listen. Anybody that's willing to listen, I will tell them all about breath, all about cold water therapy, and try to just help them in any way necessary, because everybody can benefit from breath and cold water, I believe.
Yeah, wow. That is absolutely incredible. And I literally got goosebumps when you said that, like something shifted today. And isn't it
It
just
was
amazing?
wild.
Yeah, just like one thing. You just need to find that thing that's going to change you. And then it just opens up a whole new world, a whole new portal for you. And, shedding your old life and stepping into this new identity, it's like, yeah, you had to lose some things. You had to lose, your past self in order to step into this new reality. But you've gained so much more. You've gained new relationships, new friends, new partner, everything, which is even more aligned than previously. And sometimes when you're in that transition, it can feel a bit scary and a bit isolating, but what's on the other side is so damn worth it. So let's dive into breath work for people who are brand new to it. What is breath work and how can it really, shift stagnant energy and how can it just change your life?
Amazing. So breathwork is such an interesting subject, especially when you tell people that you're a breathwork coach or you're a breathwork facilitator, and everybody's like, "What do you mean? Like, we know how to breathe. Like, we were
Why am I paying
born."
you to breathe?
Yeah, like the first thing we did when we were born is breathe, and the only thing we haven't stopped doing since being alive is breathe. And I'm like, yeah, but 95% of us are doing it wrong.
Yes, and we're not
And
doing it intentionally.
we're not intentionally breathing, and we're doing it the wrong way. And this has such big impacts on everything, on our life, on our mindset, on stress and anxiety and everything, really. Like, it impacts your entire life if you're not breathing correctly. And the craziest thing is that most of us aren't, but we also have no idea that there is a right or wrong way to be breathing. Um, so even when I kind of figured this out, I was like, oh, what do you mean? This is insane. And, most people breathe in and out of their mouth, and this is the incorrect way to breathe. So your mouth is designed to talk and to eat and to consume liquids, and that is it. Like, nobody should be breathing in and out of their mouth at any given point.
What about
Um,
out? Like
Pardon?
in through the nose, out through the mouth.
So you should breathe in through your nose and out through your nose.
Okay.
But you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. That is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where the problem lies is breathing in through your mouth.
Yeah. And what's the issue with that? Like, why is it a problem for people who don't know?
So you actually have filters in your nose. So when you breathe in and out of your nose, it's filtering the air around you before it actually enters into your body, into your lungs. When you breathe in through your mouth, it doesn't have the
Mm.
capacity to do that. You just take in everything. Um, and also, this is a really interesting fact as well. So they say that most people that have anxiety and suffer from a lot of stress, it's actually just symptoms of mouth breathing. So if you switched up and just changed the way that you breathe and you started breathing in through your nose, majority of your stress symptoms and your anxiety symptoms would literally disappear.
Wow. I
Yeah.
feel like
So
that's confronting for a lot of people, but it's
really,
life changing.
and this is the thing, right? This is how dramatic the changes that you can experience are just from shifting from breathing through your mouth and then into your nose.
Mm.
Um, and same thing, like when you sleep, there's tricks and tips that we can change so that you're not breathing through your mouth when you sleep. And then even exercising, like you should be breathing in through your nose. It helps with your recovery, it helps with your performance, it helps with everything.
Yes. Wow. So much to learn. I want to dive deeper into all of this. So, firstly, why does it cause anxiety and like stress and it dysregulates your nervous system when you are breathing from your mouth?
Because essentially what you're doing is hyperventilating.
Okay. Yeah.
So the reason why when you go to like, any breathwork classes, you do any one-on-ones, you do any like, group sessions to have that emotional release when you're breathworking, the reason that they get you to breathe in and out of your mouth is because you're hyperventilating. So you're
Yeah.
causing intentional stress on your body. But when you're doing that day in, day out, all day, all night, you're causing stress on your body. And this is why
Yeah.
most people feel so anxious and feel so stressed and experience such a shift when they begin to just breathe in and out of their nose.
Mm, yes. Okay. So I know that a lot of people are thinking, and I've had this conversation because I do the same of like, I tape my mouth when I sleep, and people are like, oh my God, you're going to die and suffocate in your sleep. It's like, literally, no. But I feel like the number one thing is, oh my God, my nose is blocked. Like, I can't breathe through my mouth. What's your response to that?
Your nose is blocked because you don't breathe through your nose.
I love that.
It's
So, how's the
it's
solution? How do
honestly
they?
as simple as that. And I've got a little trick
Yeah.
for people as well. So if you have like if you're quite congested and you have a blocked nose, a little trick that you can do is just like breathe in and out and then like do that a couple of times and then hold your nose and then just kind of like put your head up and down, take a breath, do it again, hold your nose, and just it all clears up.
Yes, I can
And
say that works.
yeah, it's a great little hack. And also, something that also contributes to a lot of congestion through here is dairy intake.
Oh my gosh. All the mucus. It's just
All
like,
the mucus. It is wild. And I say a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I'm so congested. I'm this. I'm like, how much dairy have you consumed in the last 48 hours? And if you assign, I'm not saying that you shouldn't consume dairy. What I'm saying is, if you have issues with being congested and you struggle to breathe in and out of your nose, maybe pay attention to how much dairy you are consuming because it could be something as simple as cutting back on your coffee, like how much milk you have in your coffee and how many coffees you have a day. That could make all the difference.
Yeah. And there are so many amazing milk alternatives out there that you can use as well. And same with me, like I cut dairy out, but I do eat a little bit of it. And so with the nose thing as well, what I found is like they say when you are like holding your breath, your body is, it needs to then breathe. It's trying to find like any like open airway. And so it unblocks it in order to then breathe because it thinks it's blocked. And so
Yeah.
you'll actually find that it clears. So I'll do that sometimes while I hold my breath as long as I can. And then it'll like all unblock because your body's like, I will unblock it in order to survive. Literally.
Literally. And that's why, people, when it comes to mouth taping, when they sleep, they're like, oh, I'm so scared and I'm stressed. Like, what if I stop breathing? And your body's not going to allow that to happen.
No.
Like, the only time that I'd recommend not using mouth tape when you sleep is if you're actually sick. If
Yeah,
you're
of
actually
course.
really, really sick and you're super congested and it's all just way too hard, then obviously don't. But day to day, like when you're in good health, there is no reason. And it's literally like that micro tape. Like some mornings I wake up and it's on my pillow.
Same.
Like it is something that like you can
We're
just
not using
so
duct
easily.
tape, guys. Like,
Yeah,
imagine.
absolutely not. Like, do not recommend duct tape. It's so simple. Like if you feel stressed about it or anything like that, you can literally just take it off.
Yeah. And there's ones where it's like it takes like a corner of your mouth, like part of it, but you like part of your mouth can still open a little bit in case you need
There's
to.
so many different types. There's so
Yeah.
many like different types available now. Like there's ones that literally go around your mouth like this
Yes.
so that your mouth is actually not covered, but when you fall asleep, it restricts the muscles in your face. So it just forces your lips to stay closed. But you can
Yes.
still talk with it on, like if you need to get up and have a sip of water, or anything like that, or you sit up and you go to say something, you still have full function of your mouth. But when you're sleeping, it just restricts the muscles.
Oh
So
my
that's a
gosh.
really good place to start if it is like quite confronting for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Get on Amazon, guys, right now. Buy the mouth tape. I literally have an
By the
order
mouth
right
tape.
now coming through. Okay, perfect. So we know now that if you can't breathe, your nose is gonna unblock itself before you die. Good thing to know
Absolutely.
for sure. You're not going to suffocate. Anything else when it comes to like breathing properly? Any other tips that you have around that? I mean, obviously, I feel like awareness is something if you're just more conscious and then catching yourself. But anything like else to help with
Oh,
that?
absolutely. And like most people, like I said, are, completely unaware that they should be breathing in and out of their nose. So the best thing to do is just have that self-awareness. Like if you catch yourself breathing through your mouth during the day, just stop and take a couple of seconds, take a few breaths through your nose, like just really consciously sit with yourself and be like, okay, just take a couple of breaths in and out through your nose and then continue on. And you'll find that you will just continue to breathe in and out of your nose. And then if you
Yeah.
catch yourself again during the day, breathing through your mouth, same thing. Just stop and consciously take a couple of breaths in and out of your nose. And if you are a mouth breather, what I found is a really good way for like a lot of my clients is to actually mouth tape during the day. So if you
Yes.
work from home and you don't need to be on a webcam or anything like that, or you're reading a book or you're just doing things around the house, put some tape on your mouth to just retrain yourself, because a lot of the time, people are well and truly into their mid 20s, early 30s before they figure this out. And that's an entire lifetime of, something that you need to retrain. It's not going to happen overnight. So just
Yeah.
like taking little things like that, doing it during the day, like, not just while you're sleeping, can make the biggest difference. And just being so conscious about whether you're taking like really shallow breaths into your chest while you breathe, or if you're actually taking nice deep belly breaths. And that's how we should be breathing, into our belly, not just really short, sharp, restricted breaths into the chest area.
Yes. Now I'm like so conscious of my breathing right now. I'm like, breathe through the nose, belly breath, everything. And I can also say with the mouth taping, and yeah, once you train your mouth, it is more natural and you just get into the habit. Like your body then realizes, and it's not forever that you need to always tape it, otherwise you forget and you breathe through your mouth. Like it becomes a habit like anything else. And gosh, gone are the days where I wake up and I have like the literal parched, dry, cracked mouth from all the nights of mouth breathing. Not a thing anymore, thank God. So let's dive into like the breath work that you facilitate, where we are inducing that like hyperventilation. What is the purpose of that? Can you like expand on that more?
So, the main purpose behind that is to have that emotional release that, so many people are posting about all online. Like most of the breathwork stuff that you see being promoted is like that big emotional release, like screaming and crying and all of the things. So, what happens is we go through so much in our lifetime, and like we all go through big traumas and little traumas and all of, and literally everything in between, right? So what happens is, with the way that we've been brought up and the way that society is, when something happens, most of the time people are just flat out like, it's fine, you'll be okay, like just
She'll be
don't worry
right.
about it. Yeah, she'll be right, it's fine, don't worry about it, get on with life. Like it could be worse, right? And so what we've been taught to do our entire lives is suppress our emotions. And so by doing that, you just kind of constantly like pushing things down, right? And what happens is all of that gets stuck in your diaphragm. It all gets trapped here. So a lot, and when I say a lot of us, I mean like almost everybody has trapped trauma within their diaphragm.
Yeah.
And what happens when you do this style of breath work, which is like we like to call it full cycle breathwork. A lot of people call it rebirthing. A lot of people call it holotropic. Like there's lots of different names and there's lots of different ways to go about it. But when you are intentionally mouth breathing and you're intentionally hyperventilating and putting that stress on your body, what you're essentially doing is you're starting to move that trauma. And this is why people have that emotional release. This is why people cry. This is why people scream, because that emotion that they've stored for such a long time is finally coming out.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like you do one session, you breathe for 45 minutes and then you cry and then you're good to go. And like we've resolved all of our trauma. Like, yeah, like I wish, but
yeah.
unfortunately that's just not how it works. But this is why like you see so many people doing back-to-back sessions and going back for more,
Oh
because the
yeah.
more you do, the more you release. And you would know this. Like I know how much work you do within this space, like personally for yourself. You are constantly going to have releases, and sometimes it's going to be sadness, sometimes it's going to be anger, sometimes you're just going to be crying and you don't know why. And then there's going to be other sessions where you're laughing.
Literally.
And it's like, you're like, why am I so happy? Like, what's going on?
I'm high
Because
on life.
literally, because you don't have a choice of what you deal with. So the way I like to
Mm.
explain this type of breath work is it's almost like this version of silent therapy. So it's you versus you, and your breath will literally take you and force you to deal with what you need to deal with at that point in time. So you don't have a choice. Like if you go into a breathwork session, like I'll give you an example of the first breathwork one-on-one that I ever did. So the first breakthrough breathwork that I ever did, I went in with an intention for this one thing that was going on in my life at that point. And what actually happened was my dad came up. So I haven't spoken to my dad in, oh God, like I think nearly 17 years now. 15 years maybe? 15 or maybe 17. It's been a long time. And this was maybe 3 years ago. And I hadn't even thought about him or anything that had happened in my life with him or anything like that. But that breathwork session just brought him up and all of the shit with it. And I was like, this is not what I come here for. But apparently that's what my body was like, this is what you need to deal with. So when I say to, a lot of my people that come through is go in with no expectations. Go in with nothing but an open mind and just allow your breath to take you to exactly where you need to be, because
I love
that's
that.
that's where the magic happens. That's where the power is, when you fully just surrender to the experience and just know that whatever comes up for you in that session is exactly what you need to be working on.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I can say that is a fact. Like every single time it is different and you have no idea what is going to come up. Like I've had ones where it's like I've accessed a past life. I've gone into like deep trauma. Other ones where I'm just like vibing high and I feel like I'm one with God and source and like it's just amazing and so many things can just happen and it's like involuntary. Like you're screaming, you're crying, you're doing all the things. There's also the where you get like the tetany or whatever where you like lock up and your muscles become like frozen in that way. So yeah, can you talk more on that, like these things that can happen during breath work?
So there is so much that can happen, and everybody is different. Like there are some people who will experience extreme tetany every single time, and then there are people who will never experience it. I never get tetany.
Really?
Never. I have
Wow.
never
I've had
had
it
it. I would
sometimes.
and I'm like, sometimes I do. Like I just did a one-on-one last week,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna
Yeah.
breathe so hard because I want tetany. Like I want to
I
feel it.
want it.
I want to experience it. But I didn't get like I don't get it,
You know
and I
what
don't.
though? Yeah, like with that, I've heard that it's like energetically, because what does it mean? You're locking up because you're resisting. Like your body is resisting. So you're so surrendered. So then why would you lock up? Because you're like releasing it.
Yeah.
You only lock
So
up when you're not wanting to release it.
and I'm like just so so
Open.
deep in the surrender. It's like, yeah, good, we're good. You don't need to get the tetany. We're just dealing with all the things. But everybody experiences a release differently. So, same thing, like you might go into a session, you might not have that emotional release, you might not cry, you might not scream, but you might feel it in your body. You might have tingles from your head to your toes. You might feel pain in your arms, in your legs, in your ribs, in your back. Like everybody experiences it so differently. And again, each time that you do it, is so different. Like you might go into a session and it'll be pure bliss, like you said before. Like you're at one with God and you're floating and it's amazing. And then you might do another session 6 weeks later, and it might be the most painful thing that you've ever experienced. And then in between all of that, you just get a couple of little tingles here, a little bit of tetany there, a little bit of lightheadedness, but everything is like you've got to kind of just trust the process. Everything's a release. So the pain is an energetic release. The tetany is an energetic release. Um, any tingles anywhere in your body, the way that you move. Like some people, like there's a lot of movement when they
Yeah.
breathe. Like, they have the Kundalini experiences and they have big releases in that way. There's no right or wrong way to experience breath work. And what I say to everybody is you've got to just breathe past the resistance.
Yeah, that's a big
And
one.
because on the other side of that is where the magic of breath work lies. Like that is where you are going to have the most incredible experience. And it's not to say that if it gets too hard, you can't slow your breath down, because you can. You are in full control. But if you breathe through the resistance, that's where the magic happens. And like it's called breath work for a reason, right? Like
Got to
it's
put in the
not,
work.
you gotta put in the work. Like if you don't put in the work, you're not gonna, like you might come out of it and be like, oh, was that it? What's
Yeah.
everybody talking about? I didn't feel anything, I didn't cry. It's like, okay, well, if you weren't putting in the work, it more or less then is like a very light meditation.
Yeah. And I feel like you got to put it in more in the beginning. And once you're in there, it's like you're on that journey. But like getting into that and yeah, it can be painful, and so you resist that and you don't want to continue. You want to slow the breath down, but on the other side of the pain is your pleasure. Like every single time, just go
Yeah.
into it. Amazing. And so the breath is basically you're like speeding it up. Do you do like a two in, two out kind of thing? And do you do
So
like mouth or in through the nose, out through the mouth?
so depending on what session we're running, it's always a little bit different. There's different techniques that we use for different things. But we always kind of change up the pace. We always start with nasal breathing. So we like to kind of just very gently drop people in. And the mouth breathing, like it's not necessary to do hardcore hyperventilation for 45 minutes. You don't need to do that to get that result. And a lot of people do. A lot of people feel like that's the only way, like you've just got to go hard the entire time. And it's absolutely not the case, which is why, like you've experienced our classes, we start with really gentle nasal breathing, like in for 4, out for 4. And then we very gently speed it up over the
Yeah.
course of like 15 minutes. And then as we kind of begin to speed it up and we get to the point where we're like in for 1, out for 1, that's when we swap it over to the mouth breathing.
Okay.
We only do hyperventilation stuff for like 2 to 3 songs worth. So
Really?
it's
It
like
feels
not
like a
even,
lifetime, honestly.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's maybe 10 minutes, if
Wow.
that, depending on like where we're going. We push it out to 15 minutes, but we don't do mouth breathing for any longer than that. And then we bring you back to the nasal breathing. And
Yeah.
same thing. So you'll begin again in through your nose for 1, out for 1, and then we just slowly begin to push it out until we get back to the point where it's in for 4 and out for 4, and then slowly kind of just drop you back in to a really light meditation, and then encourage you to come back to your natural pace of breathing. Um, but every class is a little bit different. So depending on what we're running, what style of class it is, we run things very differently. But that's kind of how we run our main like full cycle sessions.
Yes, I love that. And you also bring in something really special, which is your sound healing during it. You have some like different sound instruments and all of that. And how does that play a part in the whole experience of breath work?
So we like to use so I've got like a beautiful, beautiful set of sound bowls. So we use that. I recently got a gong, which is amazing. I'm obsessed with this thing. It's
Are
so
you gonna
incredible.
like have that in your sessions?
So not for the community sessions,
Okay.
only because the space that we're
I was
holding
gonna
that at
say it's
has
pretty
like a
big.
massive flight of stairs, and I just don't think
No.
that I can get it up the stairs. But that is something that I incorporate into all of my one-on-ones, and something that moving forward we will incorporate into our full cycle sessions as well, but not the community sessions that we're going to be doing every fortnight on the weekends. So we have that, and then we also have like the shamanic drum, rain sticks. Like we have so, to be honest, there's probably way too much to name, but we have so many instruments that we use, and this kind of just, I feel like it brings you back. It kind of connects you back with the earth. Like the vibrations from the bowls and the gong, like you just, everybody feels it. Like it's not a matter of just hearing it and meditating while it's happening in the background. Like you literally feel the vibrations in your body. Like it is so powerful. And I think a lot of people forget that, we are energetic beings.
We are
We are all
vibration.
literally just vibrating. Like we're vibrations. We are just all here vibrating. So when you have things like the sound bowls and the gong that throw off these incredible vibrations, like this is why you can literally feel it inside you, because it, like, we all just become one with it.
Yes. I love that. I once went to, it was like just a sound healing with the bowls, and that was it. Like no breath work or anything. And my body, I could literally feel my body vibrating into another level. It felt like my whole body was shaking, but I knew I was still. It was like such a crazy experience. And I could almost feel myself like wanting to come out of my body, like my astral body or something. I don't know. It was wild. But that alone, let alone breath work and sound healing together, is just such a like transcendent experience. So such a great combination, I think.
It's so powerful. The first time, this is the funniest little story. So I went over to Sydney to do a breathwork course, and they did a breathwork and sound session on the last day. And I seen the gong and I was like, I need to be like right by the gong. Like this is going to be amazing. I want my head to be like right in the
Oh
center
my
of it.
gosh.
So I made sure that I was there right in the middle of this gong. And so we were doing the breath session, and it was a like full cycle, like intense breath session. And I, in my mind, like I'm breathing and I was like, when is he going to use this gong? Like, I'm like, just, I want it. Like I was waiting so bad for this. And then he didn't use it right until right up in the end. And so he kind of slowed us down. We were kind of coming back to, and then he kind of just like smacked the gong. And I kid you not, when he hit this gong, it was almost like I just like he just like sent me into a whole other dimension. It
Oh my
was
God.
the wildest thing I have ever experienced. And then we came out of the breath and we were going into another session, and everybody was like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't think so. Like I'm still out of my body. Like I haven't even like I need a minute to integrate what's just happened. I can't just go into another session because I was like, I'm still up here. Like I have not even been able to come back into my body. And it was in that point where I was like, I need a gong.
Yes, I
Like,
need to do this regularly.
I need to do this regularly. I need to like give this experience to everybody else that I'm facilitating for, because that was the most incredible thing I've ever experienced.
Wow. That is insane. Now I'm like, I need to go to your place and you need to do a one-on-one breath work with me and use that gong.
Come, babe, come.
It'll be so good. Wow, it's just insane. And as you said, like every single time something new, and it's like it doesn't matter how many times you do it. It's just, new transcendental experiences that just take you into other dimensions, and it's just such a journey to go on. Incredible. All right. I feel like we talked so much about breath. There's even more that I could talk about, but I want to dive into the cold plunge, cold therapy kind of talk, because I know you're really into that. So, like, why cold therapy? Like, why put yourself through the pain? People like, what? Why would you do that? What is the purpose?
So there are so many benefits to cold water therapy. Like it helps boost your immune system. It's going to help you increase your energy and your alertness. And like having a cold shower in the morning is going to do 10 times more than having 3 coffees. Like
Wow.
it, and like it's a proven fact. And if you don't believe me, just try it. Just instead of getting up and going for your coffee, get up and have it like 90-second cold shower. That's all it takes.
So you can put it to cold for 90 seconds and then put it to hot.
No,
Or no, you
cold
have to get
only.
out. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And
So you
why
can
is
have
that?
you can have a hot shower,
Okay.
and then the last 30 to 90 seconds or 3 minutes, however long you want it to be, is cold.
Cold. All
So
right.
in the mornings when we have our cold showers, it's just cold. We just
Wow.
in, out, and then have our nice warm
Really
hot
makes
showers
you
at night.
like have a really quick shower.
Yeah, like you're in and you're out. So the reason that is like you do that is if you do the cold and then you put the hot on, you gotta like reverse
Yeah.
everything that you've just done. And then you'll get out and you won't feel any different. So even like when we do ice baths on the beach, like even we say to people, do not get into the beach water because it is
Yeah.
so much warmer. Like what you need to do is let your body just naturally regulate itself
Yeah.
and come back to its normal temperature. If you speed up that process by heating yourself up with a hot shower or warmer temperatured water like the beach, even though the beach is not going to be hot, you're not going to get those prolonged benefits. from the cold
Mm.
therapy. So, I mean, and like there's just so much it helps with your stress response. It is going to help like with the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. And it's great for your skin, great for your hair. Like it is great for so much. But my favorite thing about cold water therapy is the mental resilience that comes with it. So the building of the mental resilience is why I keep doing it. It's why I think I fell so in love with it because it changed so much for me. So before I started doing this type of stuff, I was a very, very reactive person. I was very quick to just fire up, to just react to things. And I was like very aggressive, like unnecessarily. But this is just how I was for such a long time. When you put yourself into like such a stressful environment willingly, there is literally nothing else that can go wrong that day. There is nothing else that can push you over the edge because that I can almost guarantee you is going to be one of the hardest things that you have to deal with all day. And if you do that straight up and you control your breathing and you control the way that you respond to the cold water, nothing else is going to set you over the edge.
Yeah. Wow, that's such a good way to look at it. And I also do see it in that way of it's like that mental resilience. And yeah, if you can do the cold plunge and you can do anything, it's such a good way to see like how do you deal with challenge? How do you deal with hardship? Because it's easy to stay calm, cool, and collected when things are easy. But how do you respond when things are hard? Do you just jump out and it's like, nah, I dip my toe in the cold water and I'm out? It's like, well, how's that going to reflect in other areas of your life when a challenge comes up and you just flee? Right. And so, what would you say to people who are new to cold therapy? Like in detail, what should people do in order to like be able to stay in there longer and actually build that mental resiliency? Like you talked about breath and what else?
The most important thing is controlling your breath. So you're getting in to this like freezing cold environment. Your body straight up is going to try to protect you. So the first thing that happens is your mind says, "Get out. This is not safe. This is not where we're like supposed to be." Your brain is going to try to protect you, which is why your first initial thought is to jump straight out because it is not safe. Our bodies are not designed to deal with like, those temperatures unnecessarily. Um, so most people that jump in, the first thing that they do is they either try to jump out or they start to hyperventilate. So they start to very, very quickly breathe in and out of their mouth. That is going to make everything 10 times harder, as we spoke
Yeah.
about earlier. That's not going to help you and it's not going to do you any favors. The best thing to do when you get into either a cold shower, the beach during winter, like a cold lake or an ice bath, is to take control of your breath. So the quicker
Mm.
you can take control of your breath and slow your breathing down and just breathe in through your nose and out through your nose and try to kind of just prolong it. In for 4, out for 4 is a great place to be. The quicker you can do that, the quicker your body will start to self-regulate. The quicker the cold will stop hurting.
Yeah. And literally after like not long at all, you're just like, oh, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, and it's really not. So all it takes is about 90 seconds. So that's when you reap all of the benefits of the cold. 3 minutes is optimal. Like that's a great place to be. Any more than that for like the health benefit side of things is unnecessary.
Wow, I
You
didn't know
don't
that.
need to stay in any longer than that. But staying in longer, more so, is just going to help with the mental resilience side of things.
Mm.
Because jumping into cold water, if you know how to control your breath, it is essentially mind over matter. There is not a single person who couldn't do it. And, unless you have underlying health issues. So if you've got a heart problem, or you have like, if you have a health condition and you're very aware of that, don't just go and jump into an ice bath. Like speak to somebody first. But if you are of good health, it literally comes down to mind over matter. There is no reason why you can't do it. There is no, and
Yes.
like whenever I've had somebody jump out of the ice bar, I've always had, a really good little conversation with them and have gotten them back in. And then we've done the three
Yes.
minutes and they're fine because it is, building that strength in your mind that says, I can do this. And, you get people that jump in there and they're like, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. I'm like, okay, how about we slow our breath down and we say that we can. Like,
Yes.
I can do it. I am strong.
I'm
I
doing
don't
it.
need
You're
to get
already
out.
in it.
I'm doing it. Exactly. Like you are doing it. And we are all here to support you. And I think that's a really good thing as well, like doing it in a community setting.
Mm,
So a cold shower at home is one thing, doing an ice bath at home is one thing, but sometimes doing it with the support of other people makes the world of difference. And like you're watching other people do it. Like if they can do it, why can't you?
exactly.
Like we're all here together. We're all in this together. We're all going to do it. We're all going to do it for 3 minutes and we're all going to feel amazing afterwards.
Yes, perfect. So cold plunges is basically for anyone unless you have like a health condition. And how often should you be doing it? So you said even every morning you could do a cold shower.
So I'm pretty sure it's 11 minutes a week in total. That is the best for anybody. So if you can do and that's total. So if you
Yeah.
do a couple of minutes every day or every other day, as long as you're getting like I would say 10 to 15 minutes in a week, that's amazing. The only thing that I would say to people is, and this is a personal opinion, and there's no like you can still do this, when you are menstruating and when you're ovulating and when like all of those types of things, you absolutely can. There is no reason why you can't. I recommend against it because I feel like during that phase, you want to keep your body warm. You want to keep
Yes.
that part of your body safe and warm. You want to dress warm. You want to sit with a hot water bottle. The last thing that you want to do unnecessarily is put that stress on your body when you're already internally like your body is doing so much, which is why, during that time of the month, we feel so exhausted during different phases and all of that. And then if you go and do like a cold plunge, it's just additional stress for your body that's unnecessary. So I don't cold plunge the week before my period or a couple of days before, and then whilst I'm bleeding. I won't do anything cold. I like to keep my body extra warm during that time. But again, it's a personal preference.
Mm,
But that's
yeah.
just my opinion.
I love that because I also, when I started looking into it, I looked into cold plunges on periods, and there's not like a lot out there because I don't feel like people really, I don't know, research or talk about that. But in traditional Chinese medicine, it's like keep warm on your period. When I go to my acupuncturist, she puts like this warm, like herb thing on my uterus area. And I also, yeah, believe like cold plunges are amazing. I wouldn't do it during my period either. So
No,
really
there's a
great to
time
hear
and a
that.
place.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Okay, let's dive into. Okay, you like to wake up at 4 a.m. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And why do you do that? Why is that something that you're really like consistent with?
So our alarm goes off between 4:15 and 4:30. Um, and the discipline
Yeah.
more than anything else, it is just the self discipline and just doing uncomfortable things, um because by doing that again you just create so much mental resilience. Like a lot of people just do everything that's easy and everything that's comfortable and they avoid the discomfort.
I feel like that's
But again, I feel
everything. Like your whole life is like leaning into the discomfort. Breath work,
yeah,
cold plunge, 4 a.m., plant medicine,
literally
like
everything.
everything, which is so incredible.
everything. So it just kind of fits into, exactly who I am and why I do everything that I do. So, my morning routine is the alarm goes off, we get up, we do like 20 to 30 minutes of meditation. And then sometimes we'll incorporate some breath work as well. We'll do some movement. So whether that's going to the gym or doing some yoga at home, we try to move every day. When I say we, me and my partner. Um, so we do that, and then we'll sit and we'll read or we'll do some journaling, and then we start our day, and then we have breakfast. Then we start getting ready for work or whatever we have on for the day. Also, we also do the cold in the morning. But again, when it comes to that time of the month, I'm a lot more gentle with myself. So, for example, my period is due any minute now, and I woke my alarm went off this morning at 4:15, and I was like, I'm exhausted and I just need that little bit more rest.
Yeah.
So I went back to sleep for 4 hours and I didn't get out of bed until 8:30.
Oh, I love that for you.
Yeah,
That's
me too. Oh my
amazing.
God, me too. I haven't done that in so long. But it's, I really believe that, you should have discipline and you should be doing things uncomfortable every single day, but not to the point where you're kind of like that hardcore David Goggins, like you
Oh my
just
gosh.
got to go. And obviously, and men are different. Men don't have to
Yes.
deal with hormones and shifts in their body, so they can go hard 24/7,
Yeah.
7 days a week. We as women are built so differently. And this is also, I feel like, can be very controversial because people are like, no, we are strong and we can do all the
We
things. And
are
yeah, we
strong and we
can.
have a cycle. Like
Yeah,
literally.
we can. But also, we have hormones
Yeah.
that are exhausting and our bodies go through so much that sometimes we just need to honor that and be like, you know what? But just because I'm resting for a day or two doesn't take away my strength. It
No.
doesn't take away anything. If anything, it gives you more. It gives your
Yes.
body more, and you're a stronger person when you allow yourself to honor how you're feeling and to be like, I'm here, I'm exhausted, I'm going to take a break. So I'm very big on like the discipline, but also allowing and just listening to your body as
Yeah.
well. And not kind of, because there was like a really big part of my life where I was just go, go, go. Like regardless of how I was feeling, regardless what was coming up for me emotionally, regardless of where I was in my cycle, it was like hardcore. Like I was David
Oh
Goggins,
my gosh.
like
It's
the
like the
female
so
version.
masculine. Like I've been there, right? And it just is like
Yeah.
you're rejecting your feminine nature, which is cyclical and flowing and like and
Yeah.
it is inconsistent, but in the best way.
Yeah. And like that, just being stuck in that masculine is it's not a nice place to be, and I don't feel like you're aware of that until you come out of that.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to understand and to learn, I guess.
Mm.
But yeah, so 4 a.m. we get up, we do our morning routine. And then I just like I feel like by the time everybody else is woken up, like I've already done a day's worth of
Literally, I
stuff.
see your stories and I'm like, girl, you fit so much into your day. Like, I wish, but also, 4 a.m. is just not really for me. So,
But
yeah.
also, I mean, in saying that, like I still like my main priority is 8 hours worth of sleep.
Yes, I was gonna say that.
Like
I'm reading a book now on sleep and how like 8 hours is so important. So, what time do you go to bed? Like 8 p.m.
eight,
or yes,
yeah,
granny mode
anywhere
activated.
between
I love
eight
it.
yeah, 8 to 8:30 p.m. And like even, if we go to bed at 9 o'clock, like I will push my alarm back 30
Oh,
minutes.
I love to hear that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like hardcore 4 a.m. regardless of how much sleep we get. Like my main priority is 8 hours of sleep. So if we
Yes.
go to bed later or I go to bed later, I will set my alarm for 8 hours. Like if I know that I have things to do and I need to get up early, I'll make sure that I'm in bed early.
And that in itself is
If,
discipline. Not just
yeah,
waking up early,
absolutely.
but making sure you go to bed early. If you know you have to get up at a certain time, that is self discipline and self respect.
Absolutely. Because, there's so much harm in not getting enough sleep, which again, I think same as the breath,
Yeah.
like most people are unaware of. And I used to be an animal. I used to sleep for like maybe 6 hours a
Oh my
week. Like I was
gosh. Wait, 6 hours a
hardcore.
week?
Like it was insane, right? Like I would work like 12-hour shifts and then I would go out and like, just
Party.
social things. I'd go for dinner, I'd go for drinks, and then I would party like Thursday to Sunday.
Jesus, that's
And now I look back and I'm like, oh my God,
how
if
did I
only I
function?
would. Yeah, how did you survive? Like, how are we still here if that's how you treated like this body? Like, I don't know. But I'm so grateful that like I experienced all of that.
Yeah,
But this is exactly where I am now. And people are like, oh, do
exactly.
you want to go out for dinner? I'm like, yeah, we can, but I need to be home by 8 o'clock.
I need to be
Like, if you
in
want a
bed by 8.
7:30, yeah, if you want a 7 reservation, like I'm out.
Oh
Like
my
it's
God.
too late for me.
Boundaries queen. I love that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So nice to hear because I feel like people are either like one end or the other end. It's like 4 a.m., disciplined masculine, no room for absolutely any like flexibility. And you've just created this beautiful dynamic and flow where you have that discipline, the healthy masculine of waking up and staying true to that and the boundaries, but also the feminine flow of really listening to your body and being so in tune. It's like so incredible to hear.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Okay. We've already spoken so much, but I still want to dive into plant medicine, which is something that
Yeah. Let's
you've
do it.
like gone onto that journey quite recently. And yeah, how did you get into plant medicine? What kind of pulled you into that?
So, again, I feel like it was just divine timing. Like, I feel like these types of things are not something that you go looking for. And if you're supposed to find them, you will. If like a opportunity presents itself and the time is right, you will kind of just lean into it and it'll just happen very, very naturally. Like I don't believe that plant medicine is something that you should be like, I need to do this and I need to try this and I want to have this experience.
Mm,
You kind of just need to be like just appreciating that flow state, I guess, of just
yeah.
trusting the journey and knowing that
Surrender.
if, yeah, just surrendering and knowing that if that's supposed to be a part of your journey, then it will be.
Mm,
And when the time is right, it will show up for you. Um, because I was kind of like, there's a lot of people that are in this space that I know that, are really deep into the plant medicine side of things. And it never really interested me for a long time until there was one particular person who, that I had a conversation with and I was like, all of a sudden I'm interested.
yes.
And I feel like, I'm trusting the timing, I'm trusting this conversation, I'm trusting this space, and it feels inviting.
Mm, yeah.
So yeah, just I guess trusting and not doing it with the wrong intentions because a
Mm.
lot of people do like plant medicine um in the wrong environments
Oh,
at
yeah.
parties, and they
Like
use
other
it more
drugs.
like, yeah, they use it more like a drug than a medicine. So
Mm.
some people will be like, you're an idiot, it's not plant medicine, like they're drugs. And then other people will be like, no, they're not drugs, they're medicine. And I truly believe that they can be either or, and it
Mm.
just depends on how you use them.
I love that perspective. Yeah. Awesome. So, like, what was your next steps in getting into that?
So again, it was literally just surrendering, like everything kind of just unfolded. So my experience with plant medicine is, through mushrooms and through ayahuasca. I have that's what I've done. That's what I've experienced, and both have been amazing. Both have been incredible. And again, like I wouldn't just go and do this type of stuff with anybody. Like I did ayahuasca in a ceremony. It
Mm.
was an 8-hour ceremony. It was with a shaman. It was a very, very incredible space, a very safe space, a very open space. And it was an amazing experience. And there were a few of us there, and everybody had, completely different experiences. Again, like the breath work, right? Like there's no one way to experience this. Like everybody's journey is going to be completely different, completely different. And same thing with the mushrooms. Like if you show them respect and you do them in the right setting, like you will have a really incredible experience. And if you don't, you probably won't.
Mm.
Um, and there are a lot of, there are a lot of different reasons to tap into this type of stuff. And if you're going to, you want to make sure that you're doing it with the right intention because that's really, really important. Um, yeah.
Mm. It's not something I've explored, but I do feel like it can be another one of those things where, oh, I'm just chasing like the experience and I'm just like outsourcing my power to the drugs or the plant medicine, and that intention in itself is, yeah, it's like projecting your energy rather than I'm surrendering to whatever it
Yeah.
leads me to, rather than like forcing this experience by taking this medicine.
You don't want to do it. You don't want to use this type of thing as like an escape.
Yeah.
Like how, majority of us, use conventional drugs and alcohol. Like it's an escape. If you go into plant medicine expecting an escape, you're not going to have
You'll
a
be
good time.
confronted.
You will be like, holy
Because you
shit.
can't escape
I
yourself. It just makes you go deeper into it.
the demons that you will face, like you'll never do it again. You'll be like, no, that's not for me. That was horrific. Like, I'm not doing this again. You need, like, if you're going to use it because you feel like you need answers
Mm,
or you feel like you need to escape something, you will not have a good time. Like, you need to go into something like that with zero expectations. The same way that, honestly, the same way that I explain breath work, like, you need to go into it with zero expectations, with nothing but pureness in your heart and the ability to just fully surrender to the experience and allow it to take you to exactly where you need to be.
that's so
Because
beautiful.
that's when, and it's still like, it can still be very confronting and it can still be, quite a harsh experience, but it can also be really, really beautiful.
Mm.
So and you don't know. You really don't know what you're going to get out of it until you come out of it. And there's no way of going into it and then being like, no, I'm done. Can we
You can't.
can we stop? No, you can't. You can't. That's probably the main difference between breathwork and plant medicine. Breathwork, you can, like, as soon as you start to slow down your breath, you start to self-regulate and you come out of that state. With plant medicine, like, it's not done until it's done. And there's nothing that you can do about it. But in saying that, like, I've had people that I've facilitated breathwork for, that have done things like ayahuasca and, amazing mushroom trips and all of that kind of stuff. And they've come out of the breath and have said that was more powerful than any plant medicine ceremony that I've experienced.
Wow.
So you can access those same levels, those same portals, those same dimensions via your breath without having to dive into something like plant medicine. And that's something that I always like. I like to say, you don't need to do that. And this is why I always recommend, like, don't go looking for it.
Mm.
If it finds you, trust the journey and go along with it if you feel comfortable enough to do so. But you can access those states
Yes.
purely through breath work. Like, the power of your breath is incredible. Like, most people that I run through breathwork sessions come out of it and they're like, what was that? Like, the same way that somebody, the first time they do magic mushrooms will be like, what just happened? Like, it's the same reaction almost.
Literally, I am such a big advocate for that because everything you already need, you have. Your brain, you can
Absolutely.
create those chemicals, whatever drug trip you go on, you can actually access that yourself. And maybe you need some assistance through certain modalities. But yeah, I've gone into full trances, different dimensions through breathwork, kinesiology, all these different things, sound baths, and it's incredible. And I also don't drink alcohol. And when people say, oh, why? Like, don't you want to feel this high state, whatever no, man, I can get high on myself, like high on life.
I'm good.
Exactly.
Come and breathe with me. You will have a much better time. I'm the same. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink coffee. I haven't for almost 12 months. And most people are like, oh, why not? And I'm like, but like, why
They
would
don't
you?
understand us. They're like, you don't do anything? Like, yeah, like
It's
no
almost like
coffee,
we're the
no
boring,
alcohol.
crazy
Yeah.
ones.
But it's like we're going on these crazy trips in our own vibes. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Would you be open to sharing like one of your experiences more in detail of like what happened in one of your journeys in plant medicine?
Yeah. So I went, like, I'll talk about my more recent journey or the last one that happened. It was it was really, really powerful. Like, it was nothing profound, but it was just like the gentle messaging of exactly what I needed to hear. And essentially it was like, you were standing in your own way.
Mm,
Like, you are complaining that you can't get from A to B, but there's nothing else stopping you from getting there. It's you. Like, you need to move, you need to step back, you need to fully trust yourself, you need to actually lean in to get from A to B. There's nothing else there. There's nothing else stopping you. Like, you are standing in your own way. And as soon as you understand that and you move, everything will flow and you will get to exactly where you need to be. But stop trying to blame, like, all of these other external things. It's you versus you.
wow.
And that was really, really powerful. And I went into that session. I had a lot of tightness through my upper body, my chest, and particularly my breasts. And towards the end of that session, I found myself giving myself Reiki, which I do often, but not to this extent. It was almost like there was an external source guiding me to exactly where, like, my hands needed to be, what needed to be done. And I came out of that and all of that tension was gone. All of that tension was gone. And it was like my body looked different. Like, my upper body looked different. And this might be a little bit too much information.
Nothing's
So
too TMI.
I have a tattoo that kind of sits just here, kind of like where my bra line is.
Like underneath, under,
And
for anyone who's not
yeah, just
watching.
under my, yeah, anyone who can't see the video. Like, the bra line sits like just under your boob. And leading up, like before I did this session, my, like, with the amount of tension that was in my upper body, my breasts were just like so tight and sitting really, really high. Like, I could see my tattoo, and normally I can't. And then as soon as I came out of this session, like, I got home, went to have a shower, I was unchanging, looked into the mirror, and I was like, oh my God, I can't see my tattoo. Like, my breast had just, like, they had softened
Mm.
so much. They had dropped a little bit. Like, all of that tension, like, literally changed the way that my body was sitting. It was insane.
Incredible just how much our body holds. And I know so many people like, oh, but I want like perky, like tight boobs. It's like, no, that's not natural.
No, no, you don't want them to be. You don't want, yeah, but it was crazy to, like, visually see the
Yeah.
difference. And I felt it, like, as soon as I came out of it, I was like, I feel like through my upper body, like, just this lightness. And I thought in my head, I was like, oh, it's all in your head. Like, nothing shifted that much. And then when I went to have a shower and I could see myself, I was like, oh my God, like, it actually, like, I can feel it, but now I can see it. Like, it
Amazing.
was, yeah, it really was.
That is so incredible, just being able to have that like visual confirmation. And oh, so much can just change in one moment. So with all this, do you feel like it's also like impacted you day to day, like with the plant medicine?
I feel like when you do something like that, you walk out a slightly different version of yourself. Like, you never leave something like that the same way that you walked in.
Mm.
Same as like a really transformational breath session. You're always, every time that you do something like this, you are going to elevate. And in turn, that is going to impact your day to day because it's going to change the way that you're reacting to things. It's going to change the way that you see things, and it's going to shift your like perception on a lot of things. So yes and yes, but I think it does, but not to the point where you can kind of pinpoint how or why.
Mm. So subtle shifts.
Yeah,
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 I love that.
because you change as a person.
Mm.
So in turn, like
Your
everything else
decisions,
has to be
actions.
totally
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So, is there anything else that you want to share just on everything that we talked about before we wrap up? It's been such a good, juicy conversation. Yeah, any last words?
I think, I guess the last thing is just, having like just that ability to trust yourself.
Mm.
If you're feeling a particular way or you want to shift something, like trust that journey and just fully dive into that because you are the creator of your own life, and nothing changes if nothing changes, I guess. For example, my life 12 months ago looked completely different to what it does now, and my life 12 months before that looked completely different. And my life continues to shift and change in the most incredible way. Um, but none of that would happen if I didn't have the courage to be uncomfortable and to have uncomfortable conversations and to do uncomfortable things. And I think this is why I do get up at 4:30 in the morning, and this is why I do the cold showers and the breath work, because that gives me the ability to feel safe in uncomfortable positions, I guess. So uncomfortable conversations no longer scare me. Uncomfortable situations no longer make me anxious or stressed. Like I can pretty much hit anything head on and deal with it. And because of that, my life continues to kind of just elevate. So I guess where I'm going with that is like, trust yourself, but be willing to get uncomfortable and do the hard things and build your mental resilience so that you can take full control of anything that life throws at you.
Incredible. Such wise words. And yeah, just continuing to lean into your edge. And I can truly see how that's created such an amazing life for you, Amy. So, if people are wanting to dive deeper into your world and work with you, where can they find you and what offerings do you have available?
Amazing. So, over on Instagram, my personal account is I am Amy Marie, and my business account is Flow State Breathwork. I have accounts across Instagram and TikTok. They each have the same handles. So everything that you need can be found either on Instagram or TikTok. TikTok more so Instagram. Um, my offerings. So we currently do community breath and sound in Melbourne. So if you are close to Essendon, we run fortnightly Sunday sessions in Essendon. I also do a lot of one-on-one breathwork sessions over in the north. If you're in Melbourne, I'm in the north. What else do we do? So I do a lot of lifestyle coaching, a lot of breath coaching. I've got a few different containers that I offer. I'm launching a few more things soon, which is really exciting. But yeah, if you're interested, please reach out, or even if you just want to have a chat about certain things, Instagram, you will probably get a much quicker response. So yeah, just I'm so open to having a chat, diving a bit deeper for anybody that's interested.
Amazing. And I absolutely love your stories, Amy. Like, I don't watch many people, but I watch yours because they're just so incredible and controversial and the best. Like, I love it. And you do online, right, for people who aren't like local?
Yes, so I do offer online for everything. So all of my coaching is done online. Breathwork I do online and in person, but I'm slowly starting to move my business so that it is predominantly online. So that way, regardless of where I am, I can still work with my clients and offer all of these beautiful things to anybody and everybody who needs them. And I will continue to do in person sessions, but that will, yeah, just depend on where I am at the time.
Absolutely incredible. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for coming on here. This was just an amazing conversation, as always, when we catch up and talk all about everything. So I hope everyone enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time. Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
for having me.
All right.